Well, good morning. And yes, the first time we're talking culinary on this Lift stage, and I'm super excited to be here. The one thing that Michael didn't share with me, though, is that before I got on stage, we'd have kangaroos and monkeys and goats. So there'll be no animals in this presentation today. But it was great to connect with many of you and understand your needs over the last couple of weeks. And food and dining is certainly one of those pivotal moments within your communities where we can transform experiences. And we've gotten to the point now where we really need to think differently about the food revolution within senior living. So what I'd like to do is introduce you first to Rose. This is Rose, an 82-year-old resident. Now, Rose walked into her dining room, and at first she felt like, the average resident on a meal plan. She walked in and she was given a tray of bland meatloaf and some lukewarm frozen peas. Not very inspiring. But fast forward a year, Rose now strolls into a bustling bistro with the aroma of fresh herbs and baked bread. The chef serves her a colorful bulgur salad because he knows she loves Mediterranean flavors. There's sounds of conversation in the dining room, and it's a social activity. If we think about the transition in senior living, if there's one thing that's clear about this opportunity is that Rose doesn't want to be the average resident. She needs to think about dignity, creativity, and care within her food opportunities. And that's certainly clear right now in senior living. When we think about dining, food is more than just food. It's medicine, memory, and mood. In Blue Zones, we understand that 95% of Blue Zone centenarians eat primarily a plant-based diet. We also understand that eating a plant-based diet can reduce your cognitive decline and the risk of dementia by 72%. That's significant. When we look on the flip side, a Harvard study showed that a diet high in processed foods increases mortality by 10%. So diet is certainly an opportunity for us to think about how we can engage with residents differently within our communities. There is a gap between expectation and reality. 69% of seniors say that food impacts their choices of where to live and what community to join. Dining is certainly a decision factor for them to make, yet only 17% believe that their community can deliver on their expectations. That's a huge gap, a huge gap. And when we look even further, just 10.5% equate restaurant quality meals with senior living. That's a huge opportunity for us to think differently about their experiences. We've got an opportunity. The modern diner is evolving, and our resident of tomorrow is different than the resident that we're serving today. They are known as food explorers. One in every 3 diners is considering themselves a food explorer. They want more than just meatloaf and frozen peas. They want sushi, perhaps a Thai curry, and only 16% say that diet needs should supersede the way that food tastes. And that's an incredible opportunity for us to think differently about what's on the plate. For the first time, we now have some powerful standards. The International Council on Active Aging has recently released first ever culinary and hospitality standards in the marketplace, which is not just a benchmarking tool, but a way for us to think about becoming leaders in the marketplace. There'll be a presentation, a webinar later this week where you can learn and understand how to participate in this program. These are hospitality and sustainability standards where we place the resident at the center and think about innovating food choices for the future. And what I'd like to do at this point is actually involve you for a moment. And this is one of those opportunities where we ask you to take out your cell phone and either scan the QR code or go to slido.com and enter today's code. And we're going to ask you 3 questions, and 3 questions that we believe are most important to answer in one word. And the reason why we ask for one word is because it allows us to be super focused on our opportunities and the areas that we can innovate. So the first question, what one word best describes what you're most proud of in your community's dining experience? And this is going to create a word cloud. And as you know with the word clouds, the items that are answered most frequently are going to show up in the center and get larger. So let's all answer that question for a second. Excellent responses coming through. So we see service is coming straight to the center. Most proud of the service that's being offered within our communities. The next question. What one word captures the area where your dining program has the most room to improve? One word. Consistency, I see. What else? Quality, healthy, plating. Of course, I see spending, some cost controls. Plant slant, that's an interesting one. And what I've noticed about this is there's many that appeared on the last slide. Variety, consistency, and healthy, all at the center. And the last question, what one bold idea would you pursue if there were no other obstacles? What one bold idea would you pursue? Let's see what we're answering. Farm to table, locally sourced, organic. Excellent answers. So now I'd like to involve you in a different way. And I'd ask you to do a little exercise with me. Let's close your eyes, and I'd like you to think about the best meal that you've ever had. Just for a few seconds. It could be a meal at a fancy restaurant. It could be tacos from a street cart on a family vacation. It could be a holiday meal with your family. And I want you to think about the aromas. Think about who you were with. How did it make you feel? Okay, everybody got it? All right, open your eyes. Now, how do you feel? I see some smiles, some stomach rumblings. That's the power that food can bring, and it's the power that we want to harness every day in our communities. So let's think about, for a moment, how we can bring those experiences, because food has an almost magical ability to transform lives. And when it comes to our seniors, that's the sort of experience that we want to spark joy and connection. And when we talk about a food revolution, we're creating more of these moments for our residents. Moments where a meal is not just calories consumed, but an experience that lights them up. Now here's one other quick one. By a show of hands, how many of you have made a meaningful friend or had an impactful conversation over a meal at some point in your life? Just about every hand in this room is up, right? Because dining can be the social heart of a community if we elevate the experience. We nourish people and nurture relationships and memories. So this is extremely important for us to think about. And when we think about evolving the opportunity within senior living, we need to look at the best of what's out there in hospitality, in healthcare, in food service. Because here's the truth, food is never just food. It's a story. It conveys our values, our priorities, and our culture. When we serve food with care, creativity, and dignity, we tell our residents that you matter and you're seen. And most importantly, welcome home. So let's look at how we can look at the hospitality, healthcare, and food service opportunities in the marketplace. We can look for them for inspiration. The first being the hospitality mindset. High-end restaurants, think about things like ambiance and service, and so should we. Warm greetings, remembering preferences, thoughtful presentations, they turn meals into experiences, not just, an expectation. Next, culinary creativity. We need to hire professionally trained chefs and give them the freedom to create and spark joy with our residents. They need to innovate with plant-forward dining, dishes with bold flavors. Think lentil bolognese or a seared cauliflower steak. These satisfy modern palates and support well-being. And on the topic of well-being, let's think about health integration. Dining should be part of the care plan. We should collaborate with dietitians, embrace the mind or Mediterranean diets, and track outcomes like weight gain and satisfaction or intake. This helps combat malnutrition and supports cognitive and physical health. Technology, smart tools enhance personalization and insight. Tablets allow for custom orders and data analytics. What meals do residents love, and most importantly, which ones do they leave behind? How does that enable us to make real-time adjustments to our menus and our offer? Flexibility. Residents want choice. Room service style meals, multiple venues, longer windows for hours. We need to think about multiple venues. From a bistro to a barbecue patio, it's the new standard. And lastly, engagement. Culinary events like cooking demos, themed dinners, they turn meals into memorable social experiences. They build community, spark joy, and become powerful marketing and guest satisfaction tools. Now, the future of dining isn't just what's on the plate, it's the experience, the freedom, and the connection that it brings. So let's design it with intention. So if you're sitting in the audience wondering, how do I bring this food revolution to my community? There are 5 powerful strategies that will help guide the way. The first, make dining a strategic priority. Think about dining as an investment. Leaders should dine with their residents. They should survey them and signal that quality meals matter. Form a dining innovation team to identify quick wins and align efforts across the culinary, care, and resident feedback continuum. Next, let's elevate culinary. There we go. We need to invest in a credentialed executive chef and let them lead with creativity. Encourage scratch cooking and modern culinary approaches. Train dining staff to create warm, personalized services, knowing preferences and celebrating birthdays and treating meals like restaurant experiences. Third, start local, seasonal, and simple. You don't need a huge budget to embrace fresh and local. Begin with 1 or 2 ingredients. Think local bread or seasonal berries and build from there. Don't forget to tell the story. Remember those food stories. We have to share them with our residents. This basil came from our garden. If you can't afford a garden, you don't have a garden, even a small herb planter can spark connection and flavor. Personalize the experience. Offer variety through multiple venues or theme nights like taco nights or international tastings, and provide flexible hours and always available menu. Think about offering dietary needs differently than they're being offered today. How can we incorporate diabetic-friendly desserts, hearty vegetarian entrees, and think about ways that we can allow residents to enter their meals to deepen their connections into a tablet and track them. Then lastly, connect with wellness and track impact. Link it to health goals, coordinate with care teams, offer nutrition chats, and feature brain healthy or heart healthy menus. Most importantly, measure impact. Track weight gain and stability. It helps show the ROI of great food, from wellness gains to higher occupancy. You don't need to change everything overnight. Even a small spark matters when you're igniting a movement. So as I close, I invite you to picture for a moment excuse me, the future that we're building. A prospective resident tours your community. And when they walk into the dining room, they're not greeted by a sterile silence, instead by the aroma of fresh cooking and the sound of conversation. They see a lively cafe, a farm stand with produce that are grown in the community garden, and a chef chatting with the residents over herb-crusted wild salmon and local vegetables. You overhear the conversation from the residents. "I never imagined I'd eat food this well at my age," says one. Another says, "My grandkids beg for them to come at Sunday brunch." This isn't a fantasy. It's within reach if we make dining and food central to the resident experience. Prioritizing culinary excellence improves health outcomes and satisfaction and creates a magnetic pull for future residents. A great meal becomes the heartbeat of a thriving community. Older adults should think about their senior living, and it should be more than just adding years. It should be about adding joy and excitement to those years. And what better way to do that than through the power of food and its ability to nourish and connect? The why behind this food revolution is clear. Better food supports healthier and happier lives. The how is in our hands, through courageous leadership, creativity, and a willingness to evolve. They say that people may forget what you said, but they'll never forget how you made them feel, and they certainly won't forget an exceptional meal. Let's make these moments the standard and not the exception. And that's a revolution worth leading. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Matthew.